y'all, and welcome back to the Political Bae YouTube channel. I'm Monet, aka Political Bae, and join me and my, athlete tan line from 5 years ago. No matter how much I lay in the sun, my skin never gets even. Today is our first lifestyle video, and we are going to talk about the world of self-care. So it's like the Tyra meme where it's like, self-care, but consider it. Let's talk about self-actualization first and foremost. So my journey about or my story or my testimony in self-care is because about 4 years ago, after the death of my cousin and my grandma within the same year when I was graduating high school, I was really angry. Not like stab somebody angry, but like black rage at the world angry. So when I went away to college, activism and a lot of, the orgs that I joined and things like that was like my outlet to sort of release that, that negative emotion that was just, emitting through me. And like James Baldwin said, to be black and aware in America means that you are in a constant state of anger. And that's what I was in, right? So I was at a point where I was having, unbeknownst to most people, anxiety and panic attacks frequently. I'm talking like I would be in the shower and like I can't breathe, I can't feel myself, I don't know myself, I don't know what's going on. So I started to really take a step back and look into my life. And I've always sort of been a self-aware person. Growing up, my aunt, rest her soul, would make me sit down and read a lot of books, ranging from topics to just, the history of Black people throughout the world, and just topics about Black womanhood and, what that means and how that, what that looks like in society, right? So I first realized that I was on a journey to self-care when I felt things and people around me changing. I felt myself changing. I no longer wanted to be in spaces where I was feeling like, having to prove myself over and over again, right? Because one thing I did learn is that you cannot change the minds of people that are committed to misunderstanding you, right? So I started to protect my peace because I realized not only and this is not everyone, this is like a small group of people or like a few incidents in which I felt this way, but that's what really made me think that, I need to sit down and recalibrate what is going on in my life, because there's no way that you can have so much love in your life and so much light in your life, but yet still you focus on the negatives because like that's what you're conditioned to do. So that's when the first time I really sat down and, really consciously thought about where I was going mentally and, how my emotions took a toll on, and we think that this is like natural, but our emotions really do take a toll on our everyday interaction, how we perceive situations, how we interact with situations, how we just, appear to the world. So I really sat down and I had to think like, who do I want to be and what does that look like? And what do I need to do in order to achieve where I want to go, So from that, when I think about when I first started on my journey of, self-actualization and, protecting my peace and becoming one with myself and being really aware of my thoughts and my feelings and how I perceive the world, not necessarily how the world perceived me, but how I perceive the world, I really came up with 5 things that was super important to my self-care journey that I'm going to share with you all. So the first thing that I realized when I was having those panic attacks and anxiety attacks and things like that was that I was not sleeping and eating well. And you can't care for you if you're not you, right? Because who we are is not only what we take in mentally and the things that we see and the things that we hear, but it's what we eat, what we put into our body. So I really think that it's super important that people are making sure that they're getting food that is good for them. I'm not saying that I'm the healthiest person, but I do make sure that I'm not eating things that, I know that I personally don't feel good about eating after I eat them. And sleeping is so important to me. If you know me as a person, you know that if I do not get enough sleep, I am not myself. And if I get, if my sleep is disrupted, I am also not going to be myself. And not only am I not going to be myself, I'm going to be, the tethered version of me, to be quite honest. So sleep and diet is super, super important. You can't be you if you're not like you at all. If you're in a state that is like just basic survival needs, like you're sleep deprived, you're not eating well, things like that. So that is super, super important to me. Number 2, and this is not, in terms of importance, but just in terms of how it came to me. Number 2 is seek joy, not happiness. I cannot stress this enough. You have to seek joy. Happiness is a fleeting feeling. Oh, wow, that flower is so pretty. It made me happy. Or this person did this nice gesture for me and it makes me so, so, so happy. But what happens when that moment is over, right? And that's why joy is really, really important when it comes to self-care, because you have to find things that make you feel joy. You have to interact with people that make you feel joyous. But most importantly, you have to spend a lot of time with yourself to the point where you're a joyous individual regardless. Like my friends and family that knows me personally, you guys know how weird I am and how, like, if you just catch me at a random moment, I'm probably doing something super, super strange. And that's because, like, I am comfortable with myself, I am happy with myself, and I'm joyous with myself. So I can find joy out of the smallest thing. I can look in the mirror and start laughing, dying, or rethink a joke that I told, and I will be on the floor, right? Because, like, I am at a point where joy is innate to my life. No matter what happens, what goes wrong or what goes right, innately, I'm a joyous person. Number 3 is evolution is okay. A lot of the times we think that, we have to be very static and just concrete with our positions and our opinions on certain things. It's okay to learn and grow. It's okay to have thought that something yesterday was important to you and wake up today and realize that, maybe that's no longer that important to me. I'm not saying that you just wake up every day and change your mind about things, because that is not normal, but it's important to really sit down and constantly be a reflective individual and sort of rethink the way you think about things and rethink the way things affect you and things of that nature, to really sort of evolve towards self-actualization, right? Number 4 is say no. You can say no. You can say no to a lot of things. I used to really struggle with this part of self-care because I felt obligated to do a lot of things. If somebody needed me, I felt the obligation to be there. If there was something that I could do within my scope of resources and my ability, I felt that I absolutely had to do it. And of course that's good, but if you're not full, if your cup isn't full and you're consistently pouring it out, you're not going to have anything left for you, right? And that goes back to, like, if you can't care for you, what are you doing? How are you going to exist if you can't care for you? And when I say no, it doesn't mean say no to every and anything that comes along your way, but really just understand that when it comes to your intuition, you have to trust your gut. If you're thinking to yourself, I really don't have the time or the mental labor to sort of do this, trust yourself enough to say, I'm not saying no because I'm being selfish. I'm saying no because this is what's best for me right now. And when it's time for me to go on and do more and provide more from people, because you are a giver or you are an empath, I'll be able to do that. But right now, I really need to focus on me, and that's why I'm saying no. And number 5, and you all know that this is my favorite saying. It's my number 1 motto that I go by. Be who you say you are, which I sometimes, interchange with you are who you say you are. So if you say that you are a kind, honest, compassionate, giving person, right? Be that person. Every single day that you step outside and you're interacting with people and you're exchanging ideas, if you're not following the sort of things that you place on yourself, then what are you doing? If you're in situations and you know that it goes against your morality, your ethical values, you're not being who you say you are, and that's a super important part of self-care, because you really have to take care of yourself. And the way you're going to take care of yourself is holding yourself accountable. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say you're not going to do something, you don't do it. And it's just really about just being an honest, person filled with integrity. And I think that that's something that we're really struggling with today, especially with, you know, the age of social media, where like nonsense is what is like getting the most praise or the most you know, sort of attention these days. You have to make sure you're being who you say you are. And if you say that you're a bad person, I'm not here to judge. Go ahead and be a bad person. But if you're saying that you're a good-hearted individual, you have to be that person. And that's my thoughts about self-care. Self-care isn't necessarily selfish, and I don't think it ever has to be selfish. So you all know what to do. Self-care, but considerate. Self-care, but not selfish. Feel me? So like, comment, share, and subscribe. You all know that my DMs are always open to suggestions. I am still working on the Instagram TV portion of my brand, which I think is going to be super fun and interesting. So I will let you know when that is up. Follow me on Instagram at Monet Who Else, and thank you all for tuning in to my channel. Bye.